I'm liking the play from Alpha Sydney at the moment. Really, they're steamrolling ahead with the rounds at the moment, but they're not overconfident themselves and getting too aggressive and, thinking that they can take this really easily. Really, towards the beginning of the round, defaulting, using their utility as close as they can, and a tactical pause is going to come out from the side of Alpha Sydney. So, what can we expect for Alpha Sydney or Funky Monkeys to try and battle it out and either one team closing it out?
Well, the tactical pause was actually from the Funky Monkey side, to correct you there, but Alpha Sydney, if they just continue what they're doing at the moment, it should be a pretty easy take from them, as Funky Monkeys have had no real impact, and really, I think it's more to their own plays rather than Alpha Sydney playing on top of their game. Of course, they have been doing well, but still, Funky Monkeys, they haven't been playing as well as you normally expect. We haven't seen the performances. We've seen players like Yorimato lag behind, especially in that last map, and going into this early on, Blitz is going 2-7, and he's that one player for Funky Monkeys who can be relied on to find the clutch situations. So for him to pretty much tank in this game so far, it's not looking good for them. So Funky Monkeys, they need to step this game up, or else it should be easy enough for the Alpha Sydney side.
Well, Alpha Sydney really aren't doing anything out of the blue or out of the book. It's really stock standard stuff. And, Funky Monkeys are just getting caught off by the aim duels coming out from Alpha Sydney. And pretty much every single time, it seems that they're leading these one-on-one duels, getting the aim duels. And really, every time they're going to get aggressive, they always bring a member with them. So they're not having those untradeable offenses, really. And this is what's leading to Alpha Sydney's success at the moment.
Yep, as it is going to be 6-2. Alpha Sydney do a lot of damage, but the Funky Monkeys seem to struggle, as we are going to see 3 UMPs, Deagle, and an M4. Really not much to work with going into it.
Yep, indeed. 1 minute 7 left on the clock. And once again, we see Alpha Sydney trying to run down the clock as much as they can, but Blitz finding the first kill onto Buster. And that's the start that Funky Monkeys are looking for, considering that the buy they have, Andy, is just stuck on that Deagle at the moment. M-Swag making his way towards Squeakin. Look at this. Stat is just going to close the door. And Alpha Sydney look like they're going to go towards this B bomb site, as once again, really taking their time, trying to fake it out, as M-Swag looks like he is a man on a mission. And actually the bomb is making its way to the A bomb site now.
Yep, M-Swag with that first kill. Good to open things up for the Alpha Sydney side, bring it back from the loss of Buster earlier on. Stat finds that headshot with the UMP, looking for more, will follow it up, and now it's looking difficult for the Alpha Sydney side. Finally, the Funky Monkeys do some damage. All going to be left down to Demo. 1v2 with that orb locked into a difficult position. Should get chased here. He'll pull out the smoke to try and escape from his position. Fires a shot through the smoke, and now it's looking likely that this could actually go down. Knows the second position as well. Well, does it off, and Demo, what?
I'm lost for words of how he clutched it out. What a fantastic orb shot. Then with the Tech 9, Alpha Sydney, they're keeping their cool in these clutch situations. They're not freaking out. They're not panicking. They're really just playing it nice and casual. And Funky Monkeys trying just to all push him at the same time and just not working out.
That did not look good there. I was for sure that Funky Monkeys were going to take that. They had a pretty good round to bring it back, but now once again they're shattered. 7-2 in favour of Alpha Sydney, and all looking good. Buster with an easy opening kill despite being flashed, and he's there to follow it back up.
Well, look at this already. Somehow Funky Monkeys making it work, as it's now going to be onto a 2-on-3. Demo once again with that Tech 9 making work, as Mizu is going to back him up with that delay on the AWP shot. But considering that the buy they had, really dealing a lot of damage towards the side of Alpha Sydney, but damage being dealt does not help you win rounds, and that is something that Funky Monkeys need, as it looks like it's going to be 2-8, as Blitz actually takes out Mizu. So I'm going to scrap that. And Dimo with the AWP, going to try and catch out Blitz as he finally sees him, misses that AWP shot. And he knows exactly where Blitz is. Going to try and over-aggress him with the Tech 9 and wins that battle. So Alpha Sydney, they're showing up right now. They have won 8 rounds in a row. And it doesn't look like Funky Monkeys have anything to win on the back of it. But this is the, looking at their buy now, a double orb setup. This is the first time in this map and last map we've seen a double orb setup come out.
Yeah, the first time in this matchup so far, we've seen the double AWP setup, and now this is a round that Funky Monkeys really need, or else it will be dire for them. The damage early on will be useful for them, as Yorimato finds that first kill towards M-Swag on boost. 3 players towards mid for the Funky Monkeys side. Alpha Sydney look to try and hit the A site, but Mizu overextends and will get taken down by Blitz, set back towards quad. So not a good start for Alpha Sydney. This is the round that Funky Monkeys need, or else it'll be difficult going forward for them, already being at such a huge deficit.
I mean, they can't get too aggressive in this situation. I know they do have the 2-man advantage into this, but try and not capitalize too early, as Dimo does catch out Waffy from sandbags with a nade in his hand, trying to smoke out mid and start making his way into vents here. So Dimo actually might not know that he's there, but the bomb looks like it's going to make its way to the A bomb site. And the only line of defense is Blitz sitting in there at car, and I'm sure they're going to smoke it out just in time. And Yorimato, just sitting here from Highway, has his eyes locked on Squeaky Door and is actually going to pull back and come and help his teammates towards mid. But a 3-on-4 situation. Alpha Sydney, 42 seconds left on the clock. It seems like they're continuously going for this setup, but now it looked like the CTs were going to rotate in, and they are indeed, as Alpha Sydney making their way towards the bomb side. Molotov's coming in as Blitz is going to lose that Angel to Dimo, and already Alpha Sydney pinching this back into a 3-on-3.
Very nice shot there from Dimo, finding 2 in the round already. Yorimato is going to be the only one, I should say, Stat is going to be the only one to take any damage as of yet. So he's down to 15 HP, so his teammates will be looking to back him up going into this one. Surely he's just got to bait for that information. Buster with that kill from the quad position. Yorimato trades it out, but eventually Stat moves his way in, looking to stick on this defuse. Going to be down to Demo. Needs to move his way out. Surely he can't clutch it again, as the defuse is already going to come in. Demo is just going to be left to try and save on towards this AWP, which he's able to do. The Funky Monkeys, they find a round when they need it the most. And going forward, this is going to be huge for them.
It's going to be tough from them. I mean, they're a 5-round deficit off the side of Alpha Sydney. Yeah, they made a couple of mistakes towards the beginning of that round, but really trying to clean it back from Alpha Sydney. And I mean, you can't doubt that at the moment, Alpha Sydney really punishing Funky Monkeys. And although they've won 1 round, I don't know if they can win many more.
Yeah, nor can I. The Funky Monkeys have been very inconsistent throughout this matchup so far. So going forward, they need to show us what they've got. It was a bit of a closer match on towards Train, but even then, they fell apart after the end of the first half. So, Funky Monkeys are showing that inconsistency at this point in time, and it's not looking good for them so far. It's really, they've only got 2 UMPs and 3 M4s, whereas Alpha Sydney have a much more constant buy. Still enough money to buy into the next few rounds, and they have an AWP and a good set of utility, whereas Funky Monkeys lacking just a little bit. Head armor, not even on Andy or Yorimato, not an AWP into play for them either. So Alpha Sydney going to take things a bit more slowly, aren't able to get any peaks because of the smokes that have been deployed. But now is their time to strike, as there's 50 seconds left on the clock, and they commit their forces towards the B site.
The forces indeed, as we see Buster trying to pull out a little bit of the double cross setup of the smokes towards mid, but it's only going to be Yorimato and Andy. Yorimato actually taking that battle towards M-Swag, picking up 1, picking up a 2nd, and he's actually going to pick up 3, so it's all going to be up to Buster left on a 1-on-5 situation. And finally, Funky Monkeys answering back. And what I've seen from Alpha Sydney is these default setups towards the beginning of the map, and really I think the confidence is coming out on the side of Alpha Sydney, really relying on each other to take those angels and not really stack as a team.
Yeah, well, look, Funky Monkeys, they put 2 back on the board, and this is what they need going forward, as they were lacking in motivation just a little bit at one point in time. Mizu, what did you just do? He piffed the nade straight at Boost, looked to try and throw it in towards mid, but instead it fell straight at his feet, but didn't do too much of it. Andy, what? Going forward now, Alpha Sydney, they're at a huge deficit. They're 3 players down, and Funky Monkeys look to clean up the round off of a huge play from Andy with the collateral.
Well, it looks like Funky Monkeys answering back, and Andy! Oh, God, what a shot and flick coming out from him, as it's just going to be M-Swag left. And I mean, Funky Monkeys really showing up after losing 8 rounds in a row, tying it up with 3. So, I mean, Funky Monkeys, they're not out of it.
They certainly aren't, and really it's when they get onto these buys that they begin to thrive, especially when you get Andy on that AWP, because the majority of this map so far, they've been on the back foot with no economy to work with, but as soon as we see Andy get on that AWP, he does huge work with it, finding a collateral and then following it up with a couple more kills. So really a good round from the Funky Monkeys side. They begin to force their way back into the game. The B rush will come out. Tech9's are going to come out. Andy with one, switches to the pistol, follows it up with the second. Eventually will get taken down from the B side as Cyber Mizu find 2 kills with their own 3v3 situation, but we do see Mizu and Cyber pick up those weapons that they had found earlier. Waffy does go for that shoulder peek there. We'll bet out the AWP shot. The smoke will allow him to push forward just a little bit. Got to be careful in case he left the gap there. Eventually, Waffy will be able to find that kill. Mizu now left in a one-on-one, and he finds the kill. Alpha Sydney return off of such an unexpected round. Funky Monkeys, the inconsistency is now showing.
Oh, I mean, Alpha Sydney really didn't have that much into that round and really making work for what they had. Those Tech9s doing work at the beginning, and Alpha Sydney capitalizing on Funky Monkeys' mistakes in that B hold are now going to stretch it out to 9 rounds. And Funky Monkeys, they've got to be happy with the 6-9 score half, but if they take it to 5-10, they'd be disappointed.
And look, they certainly would be, but a 9-6 scoreline will be pretty good for the Funky Monkeys side, considering how far down they were at the start of this half. So now need to follow things up and continue the momentum that they've gained over the past couple of rounds. But Alpha Sydney finding that round could be a spanner in the works for them, as we do see them look to try and just take this mid control. As we see Demo on that right side of the garage, actually up on towards Boost. M-Swag with 2 huge opening kills, and now it becomes easier for Alpha Sydney, and Funky Monkeys throw away all the hard work that they've made over the past couple of rounds, make it even more difficult. Need to return here, as it's the last round of the half. 3v5 situation.
It's going to be tough for Funky Monkeys. I mean, a 3-on-5 situation and the bomb finally getting planted towards this B bomb site is only going to be Waffy finding out one, but can't connect the shot as Mizu is going to spot him out, and that's going to be Blitz trading it back, and finally Demo getting the kill, and it's just all going to be up to Blitz. 1-on-4, not much left, and he's going to get spotted out.
Yep, Alpha Sydney take the half 10-5. We'll be back after a short commercial break.
To go, 'cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESL Australia and New Zealand Championship matchup here between Alpha Sydney and Funky Monkeys. Alpha Sydney, of course, taking the lead in the second map here after taking the first map on Funky Monkeys map pick. Moving into their own map pick, it's looking promising for them as they're up 10-5 at the halftime scoreline. Early kill will go in favour of the Funky Monkeys.
Well, it looks like they're going to try and swarm into this B bomb site. Is Mizu getting completely overwhelmed by the Glocks in his face as Stat picks him up. And finally, Blitz going to try and answer back. M-Swag being dropped down as Demo is going to be traded out by Urimato there. So a 2-on-4 situation for Alpha Sydney at the moment. And this is the start that Funky Monkeys need. They really need to answer back here. And it's all going to be up to Cyber and Dimo to try and equalize. Dimo picks up 2 with the USP. And finally, how are they making this work? As that's going to be Waffy taking out Cyber. Dimo taking down 1. No, that's going to be Cyber getting dropped down to 3 HP. He's got Waffy in his sights. Finally gets the headshot. It's going to be him up against that. Doesn't have the kit in hand. Finally picks up the kit. The clock is running down. Dimo's gonna win it! An ace! And Dimo, I think he's got enough time.
He's got plenty of time.
Oh, Alpha Sydney, what just happened?
What a turnaround there. That round was looking so unlikely, but Alpha Sydney swing it back in their favour. Offer the ace from Dimo. Ace and defuse. Absolutely amazing from him. Very, very interesting round there. That was not what I was expecting after how it started, but very nice plays from Dimo. And that allows his team to carry things forward, get onto the UMPs. It was looking so promising for the Funky Monkeys after they had a bit of a rough first half. And, you know, surely they're thinking, okay, we're going to lock in this pistol round. We're going to move forward. We're going to do more damage than what we did in the previous half so we can at least get 1 map win. But, wow. Is that a double kill with a nade now? Can it get any worse, Funky Monkeys?
That pistol round was looking so promising from them. You know, they brought it all the way back into a 4-on-2, and, I mean, incredible stuff from Dimo there. Going absolutely nuts. He is 25-6. I mean, he's off the Richter scale. You can't even imagine how well he is doing right now. I mean, he's the star fragger in this matchup and the last one. Missing that AWP shot and stat. He's going to pick up M-Swag there early into the round, and Blitz actually making damage work as he picks up Mizu. And look at this, Blitz making it work as the bomb train is going to come out towards his mid area. Side finally answering back with that UMP. Gets taken down to 12 HP, and he is trying to throw out his utility, but he's finally going to get spotted out. And it's all going to be left up to Dimo, but, you know, we know what he can do in the past.
Yeah, from what we've seen in that pistol round, there's a lot of promise coming out from him. So Dimo moves his way out, looking to find a kill. Pre-aiming that angle. No one's going to hop up there for the time being. Eventually the flashbang comes out to look to try and blind him, which it will do temporarily, but still not a lot of time for him to work with, and he will get taken down. Can't replicate what he did in that pistol round. So 12-6 is the scoreline, as the Funky Monkeys pull themselves back into it after losing the first 2 rounds of the half. But still, the ball is in Alpha Sydney's hands.
Well, it looks like we do have a technical pause on the side of Alpha Sydney, but we'll take this time to explain. I mean, after that incredible pistol display from Alpha Sydney, what can Funky Monkeys do to try and climb the ladder and get back into this?
Look, already they've done exactly what they need to do. They've just come out with the same amount of confidence, haven't let it deter them. You know, they've been taking their usual aggressive playstyle, which we didn't see much of on train, which is sort of where they fell short. But still, you know, they haven't been able to do much damage going into this one. Moving forward, really, the main thing is just finding that momentum. As long as you can find a couple of rounds and break down the CT side economy, then you got a good chance going forward. But it's going to be difficult considering the amount of confidence damage that they've had to them so far, with Alpha Sydney taking so many rounds on the board and taking Funky Monkey's map picks. So for them, it's looking a bit dire. They just need to chain a few rounds together, possibly, you know, go for some more of those crazy plays from what we've seen of the Funky Monkeys, rather than resorting back to those defaults. But still, a lot up in the air as Funky Monkeys, they're still 6 rounds down.
Well, at the start of this matchup, I really expected Funky Monkeys to, you know, take it 2-0, because on paper, Alpha Sydney are struggling at the moment, and this matchup against Funky Monkeys, they've really been showing up, and it just displays that by the way they're playing right now.
Certainly does here. Alpha Sydney, of course, sitting in the lower regions of the table, whereas Funky Monkeys are currently holding a top 4 position. That could all change if they lose this map and allow for a team like Corvidae, who took their first map tonight. If they can get their second, then it's going to look difficult for the Funky Monkeys, as they're going to have to battle out for that top 4 spot, as the scores should be evened out. So Alpha Sydney, if they can shut down the Funky Monkeys into this one, although I don't think they could even get close to getting to the top 4, it's going to have a huge impact to the Funky Monkeys side.
I mean, Alpha Sydney at this moment of time really just trying to, you know, create disadvantages for Funky Monkeys. If Funky Monkeys lose this 2-0, it only depends on the other teams that both are Corvidae and Cypher, I think it is, have to win 2-0 and still have the round advantage in the difference in order to make it to the top 4 placing. So Alpha Sydney, if they can take this map, it really puts Funky Monkeys into deficit.
Yeah, look, we're going to have to see here is, of course, the results all right on the outcome of the other matches here. Funky Monkeys, they're on a full buy. Alpha Sydney struggle a bit more as they are going to have 2 pistols into the round. 3 M4s will be their main weaponry, however. As we do see the Funky Monkeys slow it down a bit. They don't go for some of these more aggressive pushes from what we've seen from them. Instead, we'll just slow it down and look to try and make some form of a peak. Blitz attempts to look out towards mid, won't spot anything for the time being. Just going to be taking it very, very slowly. We do see Scythe actually set up on towards this boost position, a spot that the Funky Monkeys would commonly take on their CT sides on towards Cash, but still, you're going to have to check for this here. As the Funky Monkeys, they've gained no real ground apart from out towards the B site. I'm not sure if this is going to be enough, however. So they found no opening kills, and there's only 15 seconds left on the clock. Wherever they execute, it's going to have to be a very convincing execute, or else it will be difficult for them.
It will do indeed, and if they go towards this B-bomb site, they are going to run straight into a stack. We see Dimo only on the P250 here, but he has teammates to back him up. Buster and M-Swag going to try and synchronize. His Buster's actually going to fall back here as M-Swag gets the first opening kill onto Waffy, and finally he can call to his teammates exactly what's going on. Andy finds out Buster, but look at this Blitz getting taken down, and Dimo has not been spotted out yet, but M-Swag sitting on 17 HP. They have turned this into a 1-on-4 situation as Andy picks up Dimo. He's on for the ace at the moment, but Mizu picks him up, and somehow, with that complete force buy from Alpha Sydney, really somehow taking it, and looking at the economy here from Funky Monkeys, they'll be able to buy into this, not completely like they wanted to, but Alpha Sydney taking it to 13 rounds. It's looking tough for Funky Monkeys right now.
Yep, the Funky Monkeys will commit their cash, take it out of their wallet and spend it on whatever weaponry they can get. Only $650 left on Waffy, but still it's really nothing for their side. Spending the majority of them cash going into this round here. Looking to go for the early mid take instead. Won't find anything. So there's only going to be one player even contesting that out towards the Z connector area. Dimo and Buster eventually look to try and take some form of angle. Yorimato turns around at the wrong time and allows his teammates to get peppered. But Blitz is there to find 2 quick kills. Interesting choice there. Cybe follows it up onto Blitz, eventually trading it out, but they do allow Funky Monkeys to gain that man advantage, but not the gun advantage. How are they going to carry this forward? The Funky Monkeys push towards the A site. There's a player flanking out towards Squeaky. That will be Mizu. Should hear them pushing from a main here. Allows Cybe to make a rotation. He'll get taken down. M-Swag out towards the B site, and they're completely shut out of the A site for the time being.
Well, I mean, the only thing that Funky Monkeys aren't going to expect is a player coming from A main, and that's going to be Mizu picking up Waffy, looking in the complete wrong direction. So he's going to have to try and synchronize with M-Swag here if they want anything to do into this round. There is going to be stat low on HP, and Yurimato only on a P250, so it's definitely doable as Mizu does spot out Andy and takes him down from Squeaky. So 2-on-2 situation as Yurimato does pick up 1, but that's going to equalize the playing field as Mizu is the only one left. And what is that? He didn't quite get the shot in time. And look at that, Yurimato trying to fight around the corner, but Mizu is not going to have enough time, and he's going to have to try and run away because he did not buy up on a kit. And how disappointing from Alpha Sydney there.
Very disappointing indeed. Funky Monkeys managed to take out the round and pull themselves back into it. A long road ahead for them, but still it's a good start. Money's still not looking too great for either side. Alpha Sydney will be able to force up into it, but it's not looking good. Funky Monkeys also commit a lot of their money. Interesting choice from the Alpha Sydney side, however.
Well, just looking at this from Funky Monkeys, you've got Andy just deciding to go with the body armor and getting some utility to use instead, but Waffy's going to get the opening kill as Dimo gets too aggressive towards mid. Is going to get spotted out, and Mizu spots out a couple of players sitting on top of the boost, but cannot deal any damage. Takes Andy down to 36 HP, but other than that, not a kill in his favor. It looks like Funky Monkeys are going to try and get some mid control here. As looking at Stat already making his way to Highway. Nobody coming into Z Connector, but that's actually going to be Buster with the 5-7. He's going to be the first line of contact towards the connector, rotating in. A minute 10 left on the clock. Funky Monkeys really have options of where they want to go.
They certainly do, with the man advantage that will play in towards their favour. Only 2 players on the Alpha Sydney side having a rifle, being Mizu and Sai. Look to try and push their way in here. The Funky Monkeys will eventually find an opening that should allow them to make their way out. The player towards the back of Sai will fall to Waffy, and Buster is left to get out of there. Eventually moves towards Heaven from the tree room, and Saib is going to be sat way out towards Dumpster. Was completely smoked off, but now he has some form of an opening, but instead the Alpha Sydney side, they'll fall back and instead choose to save their weapons.
Definitely one of the best choices to go and save. They do have an AK and M4 to hold on to, as well as having armor on both opponents. So, I mean, Funky Monkeys battling it out to take it to 8 rounds. It's not quite enough to say that Funky Monkeys are back into this, but definitely pulling some rounds together quite convincingly, and it means that Alpha Sydney only in 3 rounds of making this GG. But Alpha Sydney really need to show up now.
They certainly do, as the Funky Monkeys pull themselves back into it. 13-8 is the scoreline, as they do a lot more damage. Not even dropping a player in towards that round will be beneficial moving forward, as our economy slowly builds its way up, whereas Alpha Sydney's deteriorates. And so it's just going to be 2 rifles that have been saved from that round. Apart from that, nothing happening for this Alpha Sydney side, and an interesting turnaround, as Funky Monkeys were struggling at one point in time.
Well, look, it looks like Alpha Sydney are going to decide to not buy up against these rifles, and it looks like Buster, the only one of the rifle opponents, is making his way to the B bomb side, but a 4-man stack from the CTs towards A, and if they can get a hold of a couple of guns of Funky Monkeys, it will be very good, as Alpha Sydney, they only have 1 rifle towards A, but they do have 4 men in charge. And it looks like FM are going to go get that mid control. But it doesn't look like they're going to make their way to Vents, as M-Swag is going to bust a teammate up. That's going to be Saib on top of his head, just peeking out. And Saib is going to get taken out by Andy here. But still, they do not know whether there is a stack towards the A bomb site. 1 minute left. Funky Monkey's really trying to run down the clock now.
Yeah, a minute left. Alpha Sydney look to just hold on towards this side. Funky Monkeys with complete mid-control. The Z-Connector smoked off. Buster is going to get too aggressive. Tries to find an opening, but isn't able to do so. Will get flashed, and that's his call to fall back. Eventually, we'll go for a peek once that all clears up, and could have potential to do huge damage. Spots out the first, but Andy's there to shut things down. That was extremely damaging there. Could have had the potential, but Dimo will move in. 2 1-taps with the USP, but it's not going to be enough, as he will fall. As Funky Monkeys claw their way back in. It's been a long road, but it's definitely a possible one, as we're only 4 rounds away from evening things out. Eventually, Alpha Sydney get onto somewhat of a buy, and the problem is building up the economy for them. They really haven't given themselves the room to do so. They've been going out with these somewhat shaky buys, rather than just hanging on to their money. It's been their downfall so far. They've made nothing of it.
Yep, I agree with you in that statement, but Alpha Sydney, they have to not be trapped in this situation. But that nade coming into the top of Andy, taking him down to 8 HP as the double HE grenade comes in. And Alpha Sydney making work with their utility usage already. But Alpha Sydney really need to hold on. That's going to be Dimo picking up 2, and this is the start that Alpha Sydney need. But as I say that, Stat is going to trade out Snipe, so it's going to be a 4-on-2 setup, as Dimu is going to back up his teammate, and once again stepping up for Alpha Sydney, as it's going to be Urimato left, bomb in hand. Mizu is the first person of contact, does take him down, but a 1-on-3 situation, it's going to be tough.
Certainly is now. Urimato still has a minute to work with, no utility, but he does have the bomb in hand and an AK with armor. So he looks to try and open things up. Has to cross over towards the site here, as he is out on towards this balcony here. Eventually will peek. Can't spot that player who was out towards mid and said Dimmer. We'll just sit back a bit more passively, looking to try and peek his way out. Urimato gets caught off at the wrong time, and now eventually crosses his way over, but still, he's running down the clock, and he hasn't been able to get over to that bomb site yet. If he could just get into default, then he should be fine, but he's given so much time for the Alpha Sydney time to get back into it. 14-9 is the score. Eventually, they return with a round, and Alpha Sydney now looking in a prime position to try and close it out.
Well, Dimo has just 30 bombed with 11 deaths. Mizu 20 and 16. I mean, Dimo's the man to look up to on this Alpha Sydney side. Really showing up on the AWP and rifles. Realistically, Alpha Sydney, they're showing up right now.
They certainly are, but the Funky Monkeys, you can't count them out of it. They've been very good to respond to such a difficult situation they were placed in, but still a lot to follow up with in these next couple of rounds, especially after dropping one back to Alpha Sydney. They've got a lot more to do, as it could fall apart very quickly if they allow just one more round to slip through their fingers. So for now, the Funky Monkeys slow it down. Only one player even getting aggressive towards A. Main gains control of that. A player towards B. I should say A. 2 players towards mid and 2 players towards B for the CT side. Defense looking very shaky towards A. Dimo, he's very on the fence about where he wants to go. Eventually, it will be Mizu to get too aggressive towards mid. He will fall. Gives Funky Monkeys the opening they need to get into this round. Andy finds a second there. And Alpha Sydney, you can't be giving away these amount of kills.
No, you can't indeed. Alpha Sydney really, you know, they weren't being too aggressive, but the shots coming out from Andy is going to deny presence towards that mid area, as a player did get dropped in Z connector and vent. So mid is completely taken over by Funky Monkeys, as it look like they are going to swarm onto this site. Buster is going to try and help his teammate out, but that's going to be Stat spotting out Cyber. And finally, all the T's are coming in from all directions now. A 3-on-5 situation as M-Swag is making his way through Z connector. Does get spotted out, but that's going to be Andy picking up on the mistake from Waffy. And it's all going to be up to Buster left on the 1-on-4 situation. Does have AK in hand. And he does look like he's just going to try and opt to save and see if he can keep his hands on this AK. And Funky Monkeys bouncing back after that loss.
They certainly are here, as the scoreline will be 10-14, but doing very well to keep themselves in this one. It's been very rough for them so far in these best-of-1 matches. They've got that top 4 spot for the time being, but that could be taken away from them if they aren't able to close this one out. 14-10. Buster will do some damage. But still, the Funky Monkeys, what can they do going forward, is they've still got 6 rounds to find to even take out this match, and it's going to be difficult as Alpha Sydney are only 2 away from taking it, and their economy, it's not looking great, but it's something that can be worked upon going forward in these matches. And if Funky Monkeys even make one mistake and allow the Alpha Sydney side to find a round, then it could be all over.
Well, look at this. The double HE grenades coming out on the side of Alpha Sydney. They're probably going to get thrown straight into boost. But look at this. Andy picking up the first kill onto side. Is going to get taken down to 64 HP. As Dimmu is actually going to get the kill onto Waffy. And Dimmu again with this USPS making so much damage. And Alpha Sydney, how is this happening? Urimato is taken down to 9 HP. But they are going to equal out the battlefield, taking it to a 2-on-2. But Alpha Sydney only having 1 rifle in it and the rest on pistols, somehow taking it to a 2-on-2. And look at that, Andy killing his teammate as he takes down Buster. So it's going to be Mizu taking on Andy. He does have the bomb in hand, but Mizu knows exactly where he is. He has the crosshair on him. He's looking in the wrong direction at the wrong time.
Oh, no.
And he finally knows exactly where it is. And that was just nail-biting, as they are the timings of Counter-Strike.
Eventually, the bomb goes down to the B site, and Mizu has a lot of pressure on him. Doesn't know where the bomb is for the time being. Eventually realizes when he gets to the A site that it's not anywhere near him across the other side of the map. Andy has left to try and just repair the damage that's been done. And Mizu, he spotted him. Oh no. Funky Monkeys, you can't give away around like this. He's set in a very dangerous position. He leaves his back completely exposed. Andy, that was an odd bit of positioning. And Alpha Sydney take out the 15th round. And this is what they need going forward. The Funky Monkeys throwing, well, not exactly throwing, but throwing away what could have been a very, very crucial round for them, but instead it will be Alpha Sydney taking out, all because of a bit of bad positioning on the side of Funky Monkeys.
To be honest, I don't mind that positioning coming out from Funky Monkeys in that 1-on-1 duel. It was just unlucky that he had to come from the area that he wasn't looking at. If he was to come through B main or into vents, he could have had a pretty good read onto it. But, I mean, Mizu really playing it well, coming on the massive flank, the around the world kind of strategy. And really, I mean, Alpha Sydney capitalizing on that 1-on-1 duel and finally taking themselves to match point, as Funky Monkeys are stuck on 10 rounds. And looking at the buy there now for them, it's not looking promising. Andy does have the AWP in hand, so he is the Shrine of Honor, trying to make some damage being dealt, but the Cybe is going to pick up Stat. to start things off as Mizu just sitting at railing here. Does spot out one, spots out two, and immediately it's going to be traded into a 5-on-2 setup as Waffy has been Molotoved out, and this is looking like the end of Alpha Sydney right now as they're going to pop flash their way through A main, but they don't spot out Andy. Andy picks up one, but Cyber's going to trade it out, and it's all going to be up to Waffy.
That will be it. Alpha Sydney close out the 2 best of ones for tonight, taking out Train and now following up on their map pick of Cash 16-10. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and a huge thanks to Nutters, our host, and of course Dwag for joining me tonight. My name is Goldie. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night.
Something to hold on to.